Joining us now, the host of Locked On Packers. You can find him on Twitter at Peter_Bukowski. If you're from Wisconsin, Bukowski is spelled exactly how it sounds. And if you don't know how to spell it and you're from Wisconsin, shame on you.
Sorry, I wanted to make sure I was correct. Peter, did I spell it correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Bukowski. Peter, thanks for coming on Inside Wisconsin, man. We appreciate you. Good to meet you. Thanks for doing what you do. Let's start here in the secondary with the first Packers question. Brandon Cisse is making Keyshawn Nixon be even more down in the dumps than he already was. What's your prediction there?
I think by Halloween, Keyshawn Nixon will be a second-team cornerback for the Green Bay Packers. I think that it will be. Brandon Cisse is not letting go of this job. Like that is done. Then the question becomes, okay, how long before Benjamin St-Juste is the corner on the other side? Because the Packers went into this offseason and they added Benjamin St-Juste, not for a ton of money, but for, borderline starting cornerback money. He is under contract for the next 2 seasons. Guess who is not? Keyshawn Nixon. Keyshawn Nixon does not have a contract beyond this year. And either does Carrington Valentine. Then they go in the draft and they add Brandon Cisse and Domani Jackson. Let's not forget about him. The Packers are telling us what they think. Their actions are speaking louder than any words that they could give us have done. And I thought it was interesting, guys, when Matt LaFleur was asked about this 2 days ago. The first time Keyshawn Nixon ran with the twos was on Sunday, I believe. He was asked about it and he was just sort of like, yeah, I don't micromanage the rotation. Didn't go out of his way to compliment Keyshawn Nixon, which is normally the Matt LaFleur thing. Like, hey, we really like such and such a player. When he was asked about Anthony Belton, hey, we love Anthony Belton. He just has to be more consistent. He didn't do that with Keyshawn Nixon. He just sort of said, yeah, that's not my department. And kept it pushing. And I was like, okay, I guess this is really happening. And I don't think it should be surprising at all. I think the only thing that we should be thinking about now, guys, is, okay, when does he lose that job? Because I do think St-Juste will outplay him. And then the question becomes, if he's the third cornerback on the outside, is he okay with that? How does he react to that? And do they have to do something about it if he's not?
He's not okay with that.
He's not. I mean, Peter, I've been in the locker room and I've seen Keyshawn Nixon in previous years, and he's had let's just say a smile on his face. It is a very sour face that he has every moment he's in the locker room. But I guess my question is, you are on Twitter, man. You're in those Twitter fights, those Twitter streets. What are the Green Bay Packers fans saying? Just simple as that.
I think that there is still a lot of boiled over frustration from January. I think if that Bears game goes differently, if Brandon McManus just makes a GD extra point in the fourth quarter, and they go to Seattle and they lose, I don't think we feel the same way about this team going into this season as we do now. And that is just like, this is a results-based business. And so it has been too many of these 7-seed one and dones for this Packers team over the last few years. And, I guess it really is just 2 years, right? It's just the last 2. And it's hard to even blame them for 2024. You lose Christian Watson the week before you go into the playoffs. You lose Elton Jenkins in the playoff game, the very first drive, guys. And then Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs go out in the playoff game. It's sort of like, well, what are you supposed to do? Like this Eagles team was a threshing machine at that point. It would have been tough with your guys. You don't have your guys. Well, here you are again in January and December playing without your guys, but it felt different because of the way it went down and because of the team it happened against. If they collapse against the Rams or the 49ers, maybe the 49ers would be a big problem too. But like if they go to Tampa Bay and collapse, I don't think it has the same sort of reverberations as the Bears, because Packer fans, not only are they annoyed with the way the season ended, they've had to hear from those pennyheads down south for 6 months now about it. And so that becomes even more problematic. If you're a Packers fan, you're even more annoyed, and there's just nothing you can do about it until week 5, and Micah Parsons is not going to play in that game either. So like there's a lot of pent up frustration from Packers fans. And I have to say, I get it.
Did you say pennyhead?
I might have said that.
Can you use that in a sentence, please?
Well, I think I did, right? Those pennyheads down south. Those, the guys.
Is that because of the tolls they have to pay down there, or what?
No, because who's on the penny?
Lincoln. Got it. Illinois.
Dude,
Oh.
Peter, we had all.
He was born in
Cardinals-
Kentucky anyway. He just moved to Illinois.
following all of it.
I'm telling you, Peter, that went way over their heads.
Cardinal
That's
directions.
Yeah.
Cardinal
do you know-
directions.
when someone says cardinal directions, do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, north, south, east, west.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, of
Thank you,
course.
Peter.
Duh.
Yeah,
Who doesn't
I
know that?
Yeah, exactly.
Me and
Or
you
are we
and
talking
Doug
about
got-
baseball? St. Louis.
No,
Tony-
no,
is
you
it-
had
is
it.
is
Peter, you
Cardinal
had it.
directions what Tony La Russa gave?
Yeah.
No, he just complained about the lights at Miller Park.
Yeah, that was Greg Matzik all over that. Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers, joining us here on Inside Wisconsin. Peter, we had Bill Schmidt on yesterday, and I asked him this question, but I kind of want to reword it and ask it to you because I think you'd have a pretty good opinion on this. Are you more confident that Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL or Matt LaFleur is a top 10 head coach in the NFL?
I saw this pop up on socials yesterday, and I thought, what a fascinating way of thinking about it. I think they are pretty similarly ranked. I think Matt LaFleur is a top 10 head coach, and I think Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback. But I will say, I think that they are very similar in that the best versions of those guys are as good as any other coach or quarterback in the NFL. And it's the same thing in that their mistakes stand out. They make, like Jordan Love, when he makes a mistake, he will make the dumbest throw you've ever seen. And so those things tend to get blown out. And it was sort of like when Matt LaFleur said, our special teams are pretty good, except when we make mistakes, we make huge mistakes. Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Don't make catastrophic mistakes. And so you have to stop doing that. And so this is the problem. Like Matt LaFleur will botch end of half situation where it's like, hey, could you have used a timeout and saved yourself a lot of time? At the end of the Cowboys game, a great example. They just sauntered down the field on the Dallas defense that could not get a stop all game, but they were so worried about Brandon Aubrey coming back and making a 60-yard field goal on them that they wanted to bleed out the clock. Just go score a touchdown. What are you doing? And it's those things that are frustrating. But I think, Packer fans have been so spoiled with quarterback play. And I've been saying this for a couple of years now. If Jordan Love had come after Brett Favre, I think he would be viewed very differently than he is right now. But he came after the greatest thrower of the football ever, and B, the guy who avoided those kinds of mistakes. Jordan Love has already made more throws that make you go, oh my God, what is he doing, than Aaron Rodgers has in 20 years of being an NFL player. But Brett Favre, that was a weekly occurrence. And you just sort of loved him anyway. And in fact, in some ways, you loved him because of that, because his whole deal was, I'm either going to win this game for you or I am going to go up in flames trying to win this game for you. And Jordan Love doesn't really do that. But he does make those big, loud mistakes. And that's part of the problem. The other part of this is I think it's more likely that Jordan Love can get into that upper echelon of quarterbacks than it is Matt LaFleur can get into that upper echelon of coaches, because I think some of these issues are just intractable with him. I don't know that it's ever going to change. But you know what? We thought that about Andy Reid in Philadelphia, and now he's going to go into the Hall of Fame as one of the best coaches of his generation. So these things can and do change. It's one of those things where you have to see it to really believe that it's the case.
The host of Locked On Packers, Peter Bukowski, joining us on Inside Wisconsin with Trevor, Luddy, and Tommy. You said something there about Jordan Love in the end of the game I want to come back to. Who's botching it at the end of the game? Love or LaFleur?
Well, in the playoff game, the answer was the defense. But it has been a little bit of everything, unfortunately, for the Packers. And I will say, there are certainly moments you can look back on, in the Bears game. I thought overall Jordan Love played really well, but the delay of game penalty that knocked them back 5 yards. If you're Matt LaFleur, I think this is the perfect example. If you're Matt LaFleur coming out of a timeout, you have to know, you can't use another timeout. That's just in the rules. Jordan Love almost tried to do that. Would have been a penalty if they'd have granted it. He turned like he was going to call a timeout and then went, oh no, I guess we just have to take this penalty. That can't happen. But also, you have to have a play. You have to have, and I mean a run it play. We know what we're going to do. That has to be the case. The Packers have to go into that, break that huddle, going, this is the play that's going to get run. And if Love needs to make a little adjustment, a route adjustment, a sight adjustment, a protection adjustment, we just heard Matt LaFleur say on NFL Network yesterday that Jordan Love is the best he's been around at making those adjustments. Better than Aaron Rodgers, better than Matt Ryan when he was the MVP in 2016. That Jordan Love is the best at that. Well, he tried to get into the perfect play, And sometimes you can't let great be the enemy of the good. And I think that happens sometimes. Jordan Love wants to be perfect, wants to get in the perfect play. I think that is a Matt LaFleur impulse too. He wants to have the perfect play. And that was a moment where both of them had to understand one play, go run it and execute it. And don't try and be perfect, because all you need is another 15 yards and you're going to win the game. And they just couldn't do it. And that is a combination of those two guys and 25 fourth quarter points by a defense that just absolutely peed down its leg in the fourth quarter of that football game. So it is a little bit of everything. But I'll also say this, guys, if you go back and you look over the course of Jordan Love's career, he converts fourth quarter comebacks at one of the highest rates in the NFL, like up there with the Allens, the Mahomes, the Burrows. In fact, I believe he's ahead of Lamar Jackson, ahead of Joe Burrow in fourth quarter comeback percentages. You hope. Aaron Rodgers was fond of saying, I had a lot of game-winning drives in the second quarter. And that's what this team needs to get back to. Like 2024, the knock on them was they couldn't win the big games, but in the games against the lesser opponents, they beat the crap out of all those teams. They got to get back to that stuff. They got to get back to going into every game going, it's time to score 30 and then just, get on the bus.
Peter, if there's a job that shows up on Packers.com/careers for throwing a red flag for the head coach, would you apply for it? And if you don't apply for it, who do you think on the Packers staff is the best suited to throw the red flag for the guy that we know at times burns a timeout with, 13 minutes left in this third quarter?
So one of the things that I actually was on radio yesterday saying this, I believe on this network, saying what they need is they need a 24-year-old Madden player in the booth. Just someone who's like still got Doritos on his fingers and there's still the residue in the bong over in the corner to just say, hey, dude, this is the time. There's 2 minutes left. You got to manage it this way. This is when you got to use your timeouts. This is how this has got to work. Because that's what this team needs, is someone to just say, right now, like there have been times over the years where the Packers have used timeouts coming out of plays where I'm like, just challenge it. Just challenge it.
Right.
That's when you throw the red flag. And then if you get it, great. And if you don't, it's a timeout, which is what you wanted anyway.
Right.
So it's those sorts of edges that I just don't think they're mining. Like they have a coach. Their Connor Lewis used to be this quote unquote game manager coach. Like he was that guy, but then they kind of promoted him to assistant quarterbacks coach. And I don't know how much of that he's still doing. We don't have really a lot of information about what that looks like. And I was talking to Ryan Paganetti, who was a Super Bowl champion for the Philadelphia Eagles, came with Doug Peterson. He was their game management guy. And they went to the Super Bowl in 2017. And he said his focus in the second half of the 2017 Super Bowl was to avoid doing the things that the Falcons did when it was 28-3 the year before. And he knew, okay, these are the sets of circumstances we need to avoid. Hey, we got a chance to kick a field goal here. Yes, you could go for the dagger. That would be the aggressive, cool, sexy thing. People think analytics is always be aggressive. No, sometimes you need to avoid the catastrophic play. Hey, more things bad can happen here. A sack, an interception, a fumble. What you need to do is run the ball, kick the field goal, and go win. And that's what they did, and it helped win them the game. It's those sorts of edges that I just don't see the Packers exploiting, that other teams, the Lions, the Bears, they do more effectively than Green Bay. And when you don't have a big talent advantage, and they don't, the NFL is too flat. You need one of those guys to be in the ear of the head coach saying, hey, at least be thinking about this.
Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers here on Inside Wisconsin. Peter, are you prepared for the Packers defense to suck without Micah Parsons?
I mean, look, I think the defense in Green Bay has not been exactly like the 85 Bears for a long time. And so I'm always prepared for the defense to not be particularly good. If that is in fact the case, I just don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I think this team is too talented overall, even without Micah Parsons. I think the spine of this defense is as good as any team has in the league. I think Edgerrin Cooper and Zaire Franklin, I think that is the best linebacker duo the Packers have had since like Vince Lombardi was on the sidelines. And then Edgerrin Cooper and Evan Williams, that's one of the best safety duos in the league, especially with that Lions group, like Kirby Joseph. Is he going to play football this year? Brian Branch, is he going to play football this year? I guess we'll see. But I think, and then add in Javon Bullard, those guys, like that is half your defense right there. And that's going to be a critical part of this defense. Evan Williams said the other day in the locker room, Jonathan Gannon's whole deal is to make it very, very, very difficult to throw to the middle of the field, which is how so many of these teams, Shanahan tree especially, that's how they want to attack you. That's how Ben Johnson wants to attack you, deep in the middle of the field. Well, this defense is designed to take that stuff away with or without pass rush. It's also been heartening to me to see this team is getting they're getting its looks off on defense with these simulated pressures, the blitzes. They're bringing corners, they're bringing linebackers, they're bringing overloads. They're doing a lot of stuff Jeff Hafley forgot to do last year. One of the coolest things that happened in 2024 was Jeff Hafley said, okay, the corners aren't very good. Bunch of cover 2, protect the corners. And the pass rush is not very good. Okay, gonna have to get creative. Gonna have to get exotic. Gonna have to throw some of these designer blitzes. And then last year with Micah Parsons, it became the James Harden, Luka Doncic offense, except for defense. Hey, just watch Micah cook. No, that can't be how this works because they don't have Micah Parsons. And we don't know for how long that's going to be the case. So what does that look like? I think we're getting a hint at it. And it's easy to forget because Jonathan Gannon, like Vic Fangio in Philadelphia, that was the look. And it was not a lot of blitzing except on third down. He used to coach under Mike Zimmer. And Mike Zimmer used to dial it up and double A gap pressures and simulated pressures and exotic looks on the back end with disguises and weird funky blitzes. I think you're going to see a lot of weird stuff. And I thought my favorite quote from a Packers player this offseason was when Xavier McKinney said, Jonathan Gannon has an answer for everything. Like that is the thing that this defense has been missing. Someone that is detailed and is not just going to go out and win the presser. Because man, boy, was Jeff Hafley a Hall of Famer in front of a microphone.
Mm-hmm. Gannon, not so much.
I think that like green and gold colored the glasses on him because the defense did not perform last year. The defense got worse with Micah Parsons. That should be impossible. You should not be worse with Micah Parsons.
Win a game without him, Peter.
Thank you. Well, okay. Clayton Tune, let's be honest. That was never going to be a thing.
You had 5 chances. You had 5 chances. Win a game without him.
Okay. Jordan Love played one of those games. One and a half of those games. Like the Broncos game, he got hurt in the second half of. But then after that, Jordan Love didn't play a full game after that.
Win a game without him.
I was going to say, were you on that one?
Completely unexactable. You had a 25-point blown lead in the last game, too.
Yeah, no. I mean, don't do that. Obviously, don't do that. Like, and this is the thing. I talked to Evan Williams at Super Bowl about this, and he was like, look, I know we were hurt, and it's easy to go into the offseason going, you know what? Guys were banged up. If we had our guys, we win. But we had enough guys. That was what he said. Like, we were good enough to win that day. We just weren't good enough to win that day. And he called them, oh my God, what did he call them? Micro blown coverages, mini blown coverages. And I'm like, isn't a blown coverage like pregnancy? Like you either are or you aren't. You either blew the coverage or you didn't. There's no such thing as a mini blown coverage. If you blew the coverage, you blew the coverage. And that stuff can't happen in the fourth quarter of these games. And I don't know how you fix that. But the one word, guys, that I heard before the Packers hired Jonathan Gannon, I started asking around people who knew him, people who worked with him. The word that I got back more often than any other was detail. He will have these guys on their details, and that is how you don't blow coverages. Everyone knows their responsibilities, and they play them. And I think if there's, going back to the very first question you asked, if there's a reason Keyshawn Nixon is not going to be on the field, it's because who was the guy taking the risks and making the boneheaded decisions in the biggest games last year? It was Keyshawn Nixon. He's not good enough to do that. He's not Charles Woodson.
Right.
And so you have to be on your P's and Q's if you're a mediocre player, which respectfully to Keyshawn Nixon, by NFL standards, that's what he is.
At Peter_Bukowski on Twitter. He's the host of
at me before
on Packers. He's what?
Keyshawn has added me before.
He's chirped me before. That's all right.
All right. Well, noted. We'll watch for that.
Maybe he heard you over the air here in Green Bay. You never know.
We call him Pennyhead Keyshawn on this station, actually.
We do know, I guess. Peter, thanks for jumping on. Don't be a stranger. We'll have you on again soon.
Right. Thanks, guys.